All right, welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
And we've got a whole stack of reports here. Global finance, tech, even cabinet picks.
A lot to unpack.
Mind-blowing, some of it. We're talking crypto going crazy, a
Yeah.
certain Florida congressman as attorney general, even robots powered by NVIDIA.
And this isn't just a U.S. story, it's global. Every decision, every appointment, those ripples spread far and wide.
Okay, so let's make it personal for our listeners. What's all this mean for, say, their investments?
Well, if you're into crypto, you're probably pretty happy right now.
Really?
Yeah. Bitcoin, Ethereum, they surged after the election. Some analysts even think it's investors looking for a safe haven in all this uncertainty.
Safe haven, huh? Usually that's gold, isn't it?
Exactly. It's interesting, shows how crypto's role is changing in the whole financial system. But it's not just that. The IEA...
International Energy
No,
Agency.
right. They're predicting a possible oil surplus by 2025.
So less demand for oil. That's going to hit energy prices, right?
It will, but is that good or bad? It's complicated. Consumers might benefit, but oil-producing countries, not so much.
And what about renewable energy?
Could hinder the transition, yeah. Plus, we've got to see how central banks react. The Fed, the ECB.
Everyone's on edge.
Definitely. Monetary policy now, it's going to have a huge impact globally.
Okay, speaking of things that make people nervous, those cabinet picks.
Some of them, yeah.
In your notes, you flagged a few, and let's just say they've caused a bit of a stir. Starting with Gates as Attorney General. Why is that raising eyebrows?
Well, for starters, the Senate might just walk him. He's controversial, to put it mildly.
Democrats will probably oppose him, right?
And some Republicans, too, maybe even moderates. Plus, there's the whole question of, is he even right for the job? He's got no Justice Department experience.
Then there's Hegseth at Defense, another one that's got people talking.
Hegseth. Former Fox News commentator, pretty hawkish on foreign policy. Our European allies are definitely concerned.
Worried about more U.S. intervention, maybe.
That's the fear. And then there's Lutnick for Treasury. That one surprised me.
Me too. Big finance background, right?
Right. CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, Wall Street through and through. Could mean a lot of deregulation, closer ties between the administration and Wall Street.
And what about impact on the markets, the economy overall?
It's hard to say for sure, but it'll be significant.
It feels like Trump's putting together a team that reflects his own unique way of doing things.
That's one way to put it. But these choices, they tell us something. It's a story about what this second term might look like. The question is, what kind of story is it? What does it mean for the balance of power here in the U.S. and on the world stage?
So we've got this potential powder keg in the cabinet. Global markets are on edge.
Yeah.
But tech just keeps chugging along. In your notes, you mentioned NVIDIA and robots, humanoid robots.
Yeah, that caught my eye too.
Huge implications, right? For jobs, for everyday life.
Absolutely. And NVIDIA's not the only one in this race. All the big tech companies, they're pouring money into AI, robotics. It's moving so fast.
We're not just talking factory robots anymore, are we?
Nope. This is cooking, cleaning, even companionship, caregiving.
So I wake up, robot makes my coffee, walks the dog, helps me get dressed. Sounds like sci-fi.
It's getting closer than you think. But then there are the questions, right? What about the jobs lost to automation? What about ethics, making sure these robots are used responsibly?
Big questions. It's like, we need a whole new rule book for this robot world.
Yeah.
Speaking of rules, you also mentioned Apple and their antitrust troubles. That iCloud lawsuit.
That one's interesting.
So with Trump back, how's that going to play out? Big tech regulation, looser or stricter?
Tough to say. Trump's been unpredictable on big tech before. Praises their innovation, then criticizes their power, the whole censorship debate.
But with Lutnick at Treasury.
Could mean a more hands-off approach, yeah.
Yep.
A friendlier environment for big tech, maybe.
Okay, what about Tesla? They've had their share of issues lately, that Cybertruck recall. But could this actually be good for Musk's robo-taxi dreams?
It might be. Deregulation could really speed things up for autonomous vehicles, ease up on safety rules, streamline the approval process. We could see robotaxis on the streets a lot sooner.
But wouldn't that be, well, risky? Safety-wise, I mean.
Definitely a concern. And there's public perception, too. People need to be comfortable with driverless cars on the road. Plus, who's liable if there's an accident?
Lots to figure out.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch gears. China. Round 2 of the trade war. Some say China's better prepared this time. What makes them say that?
Well, China's not the same as it was a few years ago. Their economy's more diversified, they're focusing on domestic consumption, they're investing heavily in tech like AI and 5G.
Less reliant on the U.S.
Exactly. More resilient, too. More confident on the world stage, which of course raises the stakes even higher.
Tensions could really escalate.
No question. The U.S.-China relationship, it's the major geopolitical challenge of our time. How this plays out under Trump, it's going to have huge consequences for everyone. And then there's Biden's meeting with Xi Jinping at the APEC summit.
Could that change anything?
Maybe, maybe not. It's kind of a last-ditch effort at diplomacy right before Trump takes office. We're watching that one closely.
Feels like we're teetering on the edge, these two superpowers. And speaking of geopolitical hotspots, the Middle East. Trump's got that ceasefire in Lebanon. Seems like an early win.
It's a good start, but
you're not getting too optimistic.
cautiously optimistic, maybe. The Middle East is complex, lots of players, lots of interests. The situation's still volatile. Israel's hoping for more cooperation with Trump, but it's early days.
So much uncertainty everywhere we look.
That's the world we live in now, and that's why it's so important to stay informed, to really understand what's going on, and to talk about it, the challenges, the opportunities.
Feels like we're living in, I don't know, a constant state of upheaval.
Yeah, I get that. Politics, tech, everything changing so fast.
It's overwhelming sometimes, But you mentioned adaptation earlier, and thinking about everything we've talked about, it feels like that's the key takeaway. New administration, unpredictable, tech changing the game, global order shifting. How do we even keep up?
Well, first thing, stay informed. Read different perspectives. Don't just get stuck in your own echo chamber.
Talk to people who disagree with you.
Exactly. And think critically. Don't just accept everything you read or hear. Question it. Look for evidence. Analyze.
Be like detectives, almost. Trying to piece together the future.
Kinda, yeah. And one big piece of that puzzle is the U.S.-China relationship. Will they cooperate, or is this going to turn into a full-blown Cold War?
That'll affect everyone, won't it?
Absolutely. It's the defining relationship of our time, probably. And then there's the tech side. AI, robots, those are huge, and they're just getting started.
What about other areas of tech? Where else could things change drastically?
Biotechnology, for one. Gene editing, synthetic biology.
Personalized medicine, stuff like that.
Yeah, that could revolutionize healthcare, agriculture, even energy.
But there are ethical questions too, right? Human enhancement, genetic privacy, messing with the building blocks of life. That's powerful stuff.
It's like we've got all this potential, but we don't know which way to go with it. It's exciting, but it's kind of scary too.
I get it. But even with all the uncertainty, all the potential pitfalls, there's so much human ingenuity out there. We've faced challenges before, and we've always found a way.
We adapt, we innovate.
Right. And I think we can build a future that's both technologically advanced and ethically sound, where everyone has a chance to thrive.
That's a future worth fighting for. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. Hopefully our listeners are feeling a little more informed, a little more engaged.